legendary, a famous personality. That is Leonardo da Vinci. So, without any wait, let's start with the summary of How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci by Michael Gelb. Introduction. Who is Leonardo da Vinci? He is the master painter behind Mona Lisa and The Last Supper. He is a Renaissance man, a polymath, who is not only an expert in art, but also in anatomy, botany, and military engineering, among others. His other masterpieces include St. John the Baptist, Madonna of the Rocks, and Salvator Mundi. Da Vinci's work are highly acclaimed and controversial. The sketches in his notebooks are valued as much as his paintings. He made accurate and lifelike studies of horses, flowers, faces, hair, muscles, and even a child inside the womb. Da Vinci also drew sketches of his invention like the flying machine, parachute, helicopter, machine gun, and armored tank. But did you know that Da Vinci was an illegitimate son? His father was an accountant. His mother was a peasant from a small village. Da Vinci did not follow the footsteps of his father because children born out of wedlock were not allowed to pursue a professional career. Thus, Da Vinci became one of the greatest artists and thinkers of all time. In this book, you will learn 6 principles which will help you develop multiple intelligence as Da Vinci did. You will learn how to be a Renaissance man who doesn't limit his knowledge to one field, who enriches his body and his mind, who seeks to attain more knowledge and wisdom. These 6 principles are expressed in Da Vinci's native Italian. They are curiosità or curiosity, dimostrazione or learning from experience, sensazione or enriching the 5 senses, sfumato or embracing uncertainty, arte or scienza or balance between art and logic, and corporalità or physical fitness. We will discuss them one by one. Let's start with sfumato. The word sfumato means going up in smoke or turned to mist. It refers to the unique painting style of Leonardo da Vinci. If you Google the Mona Lisa, you will see that it has this hazy, blurry, soft finish that adds up to its sense of mystery. Do you know why Mona Lisa's smile is enigmatic? You cannot know what is the real emotion of Mona Lisa in the portrait. It gives the impression of good and evil, seduction and innocence, compassion and cruelty in that single smile. Now, what do you think is the message that Da Vinci wanted to give in Mona Lisa's smile? Here is an interesting fact. If you take a closer look, you will see that the corner of the eyes and corner of the mouth of Mona Lisa is covered in a soft shadow. This is what makes her smile mysterious. The wrinkle of the eyes and the edges of her lips would have told us that Mona Lisa is really feeling in that portrait. But that is the intention of Da Vinci. He wants to leave the sense of ambiguity and uncertainty to the viewers. This is the principle of sfumato, which is being comfortable with the unknown and being open to many interpretations. Over the years, art experts and psychologists have asked, who is the model for Mona Lisa? Is she a real person? No one never really knew. Some say that she is Lisa del Giocondo, the wife of a silk merchant named Francesco del Giocondo. Some say that she is a representation of all the women that Da Vinci knew in his life. His mother, the mistress of noble men, and the women he saw walking by the street. But Dr. Lillian Schwartz from Bell Labs had a more intriguing assumption. Mona Lisa could be a self-portrait of Leonardo da Vinci himself. Da Vinci had only one known self-portrait which he drew with red chalk. There is his long wavy hair and beard, his bushy eyebrows, and the wrinkles around his eyes that comes with age. Dr. Schwartz used computer modeling with precise measurements to observe the Mona Lisa and the red chalk self-portrait side by side. You will see how Mona Lisa and Da Vinci's forehead, eyes, nose, lips, and chin are symmetrically aligned. They are like two sides of one picture. Sfumato also means being inclined to paradox, opposite, and contrasts. Unlike Michelangelo and Bernini, Da Vinci is not a favorite artist to commission by the Catholic Church. It is because he adds his own interpretation of the biblical scene. The paintings Madonna of the Rocks and Virgin and Child with Saint Anne have two versions. One is a little shocking and the other is more mellow. A master painter like Da Vinci doesn't do things unintentionally or coincidentally. The hand gestures, the body positions, and facial expressions are exactly intended to be that way. There's a meaning behind everything. We would never really know what is the meaning of Da Vinci in The Last Supper or St. John the Baptist. It is up to us to marvel in the beauty and mystery of his artworks. Next is curiosita. Ever since he was a little boy, Da Vinci was curious about the world around him. He often brings sheets of paper and pencil as he wanders off to the woods. Da Vinci spent hours just sketching the trees, the rocks, flowers, leaves, and anything which captures his curiosity. He wrote all of his thoughts in his notebook. He would ask, "Have you ever wondered just how many kinds of animals, trees, plants, and flowers are there? Why are there hills, rivers, springs, and cities? How does a bird fly? Why does circle form from the spot where the stone hits the water?" These questions about strange phenomena occupy my mind throughout my life. When Da Vinci draws a flower, he does so in 3 different angles. He is captivated by its natural beauty. The flight of birds is also a common subject of his drawings. Da Vinci sketched how a bird flaps its wings on air. 400 years before Charles Darwin, Da Vinci has observed how seashells and fossils of corals and seaweeds end up high in the mountains. He held the fossils with his own hands as he was wandered along the hills of Lombardy. Now, here is an important factor to the curiosity and brilliant mind of Da Vinci. Unlike other art masters, he had no passion for a woman. He had no bias to the church or to any monarchy. Da Vinci accepted commissions from the Medici family of Florence, the Borgia family of Spain, and the Sforza family of Milan. He did projects for the popes as well as their enemies. Thus, Da Vinci's loyalty and devotion were all directed to nature, beauty, and truth. He wrote these tips on his treatise on paintings. It is easier for us to see the mistakes in the artworks of other people. Thus, to be able to see what needs improvement in your painting, you should study it through a reflection on the mirror. In this way, you can judge your painting as if it were not your own. Da Vinci also said that it is important to take short breaks. An artist should go out for a while and relax. Being away from the paintings gives him a fresh perspective on what parts still need to be worked on. Another technique is to observe the painting from a distance. You can study better the proportion, harmony, and colors of the subject if you are far away from the painting. Da Vinci often takes leisure walks around the streets of Florence to observe, to see nature, and study the faces of people. Sometimes he would see merchants who sell caged birds. Da Vinci stops for a while. He pays for the price of the birds, then opens the door of the cage. He watches with admiration how the birds fly freely to the endless blue sky. He is happy to see the birds flap their wings towards the soft blowing wind and the rays of the sun. Next is demonstration. Leonardo da Vinci did not have a formal education. He became an apprentice of the master painter and sculptor Andrea del Verrocchio. In the studio, Da Vinci learned how to mix paints and prepare canvases. He learned about the important concept of perspective. Verrocchio believed in learning by experience. He taught Da Vinci about bronze casting, goldsmithing, and the basics of sculpture. He also trained Da Vinci to study the structure of plants and the anatomy of humans and animals. This hands-on education is what shaped Da Vinci in his youthful years. His first known painting is a small portion of Verrocchio's Baptist of Christ. It is said that Da Vinci painted the angel on the bottom left corner. Art experts once observed the painting through X-ray. They saw that the brush strokes of Verrocchio showed on the X-ray. Meanwhile, Da Vinci's brush strokes were so fine and smooth that the X-rays just passed through them. His application of paint is very thin and fluid. Thus, under the X-ray, the angel's face is completely blank. It is as if Da Vinci really created an angel. After training with Verrocchio, Da Vinci became a master and joined a guild. It is the Guild of St. Luke, a group of doctors and artists. To study anatomy, Da Vinci dissected more than 30 human corpses as well as countless animals. He drew their body parts and cross-sections in his notebook. This is the reason why Da Vinci's paintings and sketches are anatomically accurate. He called himself a man without letters. Da Vinci valued first-hand experience, originality, and independent thinking. He wrote that one must go straight to nature to truly learn. Another amazing fact about Da Vinci is that he taught himself Latin at the age of 42 so that he will have a better understanding of the classics. He maintained a library of books on medicine, anatomy, mathematics, and warfare. He read the Bible, Dante, and the Greek philosophers. Experience never errs. It is only when you expect immediate results from experiments that you fail. Da Vinci also wrote, "Obstacles do not bend me. Every obstacle is destroyed by persistence." Da Vinci liked to experiment. Many of them turned to disasters, but failures did not stop him from trying once again. This can be seen in his inventions and the engineering projects that he designed for his patrons.